Cascade Hoops Talk, bringing the world NAI basketball one podcast at a time. Good morning, Cascade Hoops Talk. Billy D. Hope everybody's enjoying the last of the quiet time before NAI basketball kicks off here later in the month. Hey, today we have Steve Drabyn. He's the head men's basketball coach at Bethel Pilots up there in Mishawaka. Coach Drabyn, he's from LaPorte, played at LaPorte High School there in Indiana. He played with Greg Tonigal, and then he went on to Division I Belmont University, one of the top free throw shooters in college basketball history. Really very, very nice man. He's in the fourth season there at Bethel. He's went out. He's kind of retooled the program. He's brought in some pretty impressive transfers. He's got a couple of good players from last season coming back. I think Bethel's going to be pretty good. During the interview, it must have been a nice day because Coach Drabyn, he wandered outside. We kind of lost his cell phone signal. He got near a lawnmower or something. And you'll hear during the interview where I paused it and then I came back and I said, "Okay, Coach, you're back." So I apologize. We kind of drifted out just for a few minutes, about 30 seconds or something. But we were able to stop it and come back, and the rest of it picked up just fine. I want to remind everybody, because people pick on me about this because I don't say it. If you like this podcast, please like and subscribe wherever you listen. It does help a lot. I don't know anything about all that stuff, but apparently it helps, and I would really appreciate it if you could do it. Also, I want to say thank you for all the great support so far this preseason. Your feedback is fantastic. I can't believe anybody would really want to listen to me, but I know it's the coaches you listen for, and I enjoy bringing you the coaches and as well as the stories about their program. So let's give a listen to Coach Steve Drabyn, head men's basketball coach, Bethel Pilots. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, I got Steve Drabyn here. He's a head men's basketball coach for the Bethel Pilots over there in Mishawaka. Steve, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Billy.
Hey, before I forget, Scott Morris says you owe him dinner.
Well, since I've tried about 5 or 6 times, he's not been able to make it. I think that's off the table now.
No, hey,
That's
Drabyn.
what I told him, at least.
He told me he would say that. He said that Bethel guy is going to try to wiggle out by saying he offered. Hey, all joking aside, what is the deal between Bethel and Grace? What's the history there?
Yeah, me being here 3 years, it was really important for me. I grew up in the area, hour down the road in LaPorte, knew the Bethel program really well and Grace program. One of my former teammates, Ben Tonigal, Greg's older brother, played at Grace, and I remember going to watch him play a couple games over there at Grace. And just obviously 2 strong story programs with legendary coaches, Coach Kessler and Coach Mike Lightfoot, having coached for so many years at one school. You just don't see that as much anymore. Have a tremendous amount of respect for both those coaches and both these programs. And I'm blessed to be at Bethel. Great legendary program that's built great culture over the years, and just trying to kind of put my stamp on it and continue the legacy that former players and coaches have built before me.
Speaking of that, as you say, Bethel, a program with just a monster culture, and talk about your coaching philosophy, what you're trying to achieve as the head coach there at Bethel. Obviously, wins and losses are one part of it, but there's a much bigger part.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, winning is obviously important at this level, and that's what we strive to do. And I tell our guys all the time, like, it's not about winning, but it's about making the effort, putting forth your best mindset and be the best person to yourselves. But we have a deeper calling here at Bethel, being a faith-based school. Want to meet these guys, student athletes, where they're at in their journey and help them grow from there. Our identity, we talk a lot about identity. We don't want it to be based on performance, or based on their background or past. We want it to be in Christ. When it's in Him, we have what we need. It doesn't mean we have to be perfect, and we've got somebody that, Lord Jesus Christ, that help us grow and help us be the best versions of ourselves and understand that there's a bigger calling. So that's kind of our message to our guys, and we want to grow together and grow in that way.
Okay, Coach, I think we have you to a bit better spot. But just to kind of reiterate, I mean, the culture that you bring to Bethel basketball like you say, it's much more than wins and losses. I mean, my words are, I believe you're building young men.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, our as coaches, we talk each week as a staff, just how we can help our young men grow. And, one of my philosophies is want to help these guys grow and, accept responsibility, lead courageously, and make this world a better place. And want to have empathy and integrity and do things the right way in a first-class manner. And, these guys aren't perfect. They're 18 to 24. And, it's our job as coaches to love on them, care for them, build trust and relationship, and help them where they're at on their journey and help them grow in that way. And that's why we do what we do. Obviously, we want to win games, but more important than that, we want to help them, when they get out of Bethel, want them to help them be better men and better husbands, fathers, and community members.
Coach, you grew up there in Indiana. You played ball at LaPorte and we've talked about it before, Greg Tonigal was your teammate. Of course, you were a much better free throw shooter than that laggard. If people who don't know, and I've mentioned it several times, but Steve Drabyn was one of the best free throw shooters in the history of college basketball. This guy can flat nail them. You grew up, played ball with Greg. Like you mentioned, you have great relationships with the other coaches throughout the Crossroads. Just talk about the camaraderie of the coaching community in the Crossroads, and talk about that Crossroads League as a competitive conference.
Yeah, no doubt. For me, having Greg as a former teammate and a good friend, I followed the league for a while, even before coming to Bethel, so I had good familiarity with it. And since I've been here, just a great group of head and assistant coaches that are all just great people, do things the right way. I coached with Scott Heddy for a year at Carmel. Mm-hmm. And so, I know Scott very well, and I've gotten to know Scott Moore really well over at Grace, and just a good group of guys that, we make each other better just by the competition side of things. And, even just talking before games and after games, just about our cultures and how to help men grow. And that's a cool thing that you just don't see as much around the nation, just with competitiveness and all that. We all have similar interest in helping our young men grow. So it's a great fraternity to be a part of.
Well, Coach, you've got a little bit of work cut out for you. I know last season wasn't not a typical Bethel season. You got a couple of guys moving on. You've kind of retooled. Let's talk about the guys that have graduated and move on. Jared DeHart, he really was a key piece for your team, 17 points, 3 rebounds. He shot almost 47% from 3. Talk about what he meant to the program.
Yeah, Jared was a great 4-year player for Bethel, 1,000-point scorer, great representative, and hate to see him move on, but he did a lot of good things here, and we'll definitely miss him. And then several other guys, Janai Griffith, Zach Owens, Wesley Burse, who all gave us really good minutes, and feel like they grew as people here at Bethel. And so we had some other guys kind of part ways, and so we bringing in 6 new guys that we're really excited about to kind of help the program move forward. Yeah, challenging year last year. Again, in our league, you could have a really good team and you could have a good season and still not finish, where you'd like to finish. But, it's not our standards, and we have expectations that are better than what we did last year. Looking forward to the challenge and pursuing, a better year.
I know that everybody wants to hear about these transfers, a lot of buzz about them. But before we do that, the cupboard's not bare. You got Brandon Hunt and Nate Ertz coming back, both starters for you last season.
Yeah, really excited about those 2 guys coming back. I mean, Nathan's a 1,000-point scorer in his 3 years. He's going to play for us 2 more years, using one of those COVID years. He's a guy that brings a lot of value to the game. His numbers are solid and are good, but he just does so many other things that don't show up on a stat page. Just understanding how to play defensively and being in the right positions, and just smart in how he guards other players and taking away their strengths. He's a good passer. He's a tough matchup at 6'7". He can handle it, can drive the ball well, and good score around the rim. And then Brandon Hunt had a really good first year here at Bethel last year. Was on the all freshman team. Just a unique talent, 6'9", that can is really mobile. There were several games where we played him at the 5, where we switched 1 through 5. Yeah. And he can guard a good, quick, athletic point guard as well as anybody on our team. So we don't miss a whole lot when we switch him onto those guys.
Was he a true freshman? Last year? Yeah, that's what I thought. I was really impressed with him.
He's got a chance to, be special when it's all said and done.
And then you got Trent Edwards and Life Granville coming back as well. They both played minutes for you last season.
Yeah, really tough, hard-nosed players, again, that understand how to play and play their roles well. Definitely guys that'll play minutes and will provide a spark for us.
So you went out and you got a Mishawaka native who had went to Incarnate Word. He had a pretty good couple of years there. Drew Lutz, he's a Bethel pilot now. A lot of buzz about him. Talk about Drew and his basketball skills.
Yeah, really excited about Drew. I mean, just a guy. Obviously, he's a really good player that does a lot of good things just from a point guard perspective. I mean, we had kind of an inter-squad scrimmage the other day, and he had 8 assists and 1 turnover. Shot the ball really well. I think he finished with maybe 18 points, and he actually got his chin cut, so he had stitches, so he had to leave the game early. But I think he ended up with 16 points on 4 for 5 from 3. So he's a good talent, but more than that, he just brings a leadership and a character to our team that a lot of practice will put him, the other best players on the other team, to try to challenge him a little bit. Almost every day, kind of encourages his team and wins a lot of those days. So just a leadership character perspective that's going to be huge for our team, just to make other people around him better.
And another guy you brought in with some experience, he's playing as a graduate this year, Deacon Heath. He played at UNC Charlotte. He didn't get huge minutes there, but he has a ton of D1 experience, leadership experience. Talk about Deacon.
Yeah, so again, UNC Asheville. I know Charlotte's close by there.
Oh, my gosh.
It's all good.
I did that twice.
Yeah, it's all good. But yeah, graduate student. He's got 2 years to play. Gosh, he was there for 4 years. Redshirted 1 year and then a COVID year. So, I mean, he's a 5th-year guy that's going to play 2 more years. And he's just a tough, solid, smart player that just gets things right. He'll get scouting reports right. He'll understand how we play defensively, and he's a knockdown shooter. So to have somebody like that with a Drew Lutz at a point guard position and our other firepower is going to be great. I mean, he's a guy that can, on any given night, knock down 4, 5, 6 threes and just kind of break the game open. So excited to have him. And again, the leadership and the maturity and experience that he has is going to be invaluable for our team.
Steve, I have a question for you. Mishawaka is in what state?
Indiana.
Yeah, there you go. So you have 2 freshmen on the team this year. One's from Tennessee and one's from Japan. I had to pick on you about that. You didn't load up with Indiana guys. Talk about Chikara Tanaka. He's from Japan, and then I'm going to mess up his name, but Alanis Peculus. He's from Tennessee, coming up to play ball in Indiana. That
was actually pretty good. We call him Al, but it's pronounced Alanis Peculus. So you're pretty good on that last name. It's a tough last name. But anyway, to talk with one of the assistants in our league this summer is pretty funny. He said, "Man, Coach, I think we're going to start calling you guys Global U." Just getting guys from international. It's funny because we've only got one guy from overseas. We have overseas players, but they've been in the States.
Right.
Except for one of them, Philip Sagoda is the only guy that's we recruited from overseas. But so Al's from London, England, but played at the Baylor School in Chattanooga, Tennessee for the last 3 years. And his high school coach is a good friend of mine who used to coach at Belmont University, Mark Price. So it comes from a very good program. They play very similar style to what we play, so it's kind of a seamless transition for him. But he's 6'7", he's got good size, he can move. He's a really good talent that I think is gonna help us this year early on. And then Chikara Tanaka, he's a dual citizen. He's Japanese citizen and American citizen. But he lived in Japan most of his life, but he's been in the States the last 4 years. The last place he was at was Veritas Academy in California. But good talent, really good athlete, very, very good defender. Is going to help us on that end of the floor, can make an open shot, and just has a unique skill set and unique talent that's he's different. He provides a charisma and energy that we were desperately seeking for this team. So he's going to provide that, and really excited about both those guys being a part of it this year.
And then, we're going to challenge my pronunciation skills again. 2 other transfers, Tengai Tuze, he played at Jacksonville State, and then Jordan Okanji, he played JC ball at Temple down in Texas. First, how bad I butcher their names.
You nailed Jordan's. Jordan's was absolutely correct. Jordan Okanji. And then it's Tangi Tuze. So Tangi Tuze, transfer from Jacksonville State, 6'5", combo guard. When Drew's not at the point, Tangi will play those minutes. But good shooter. He's really good off ball screens. Typical European guy that he understands how to play and read defenses. I think he was 6 assists to 1 turnover in our scrimmage, and can make an open three. And so excited about just his skill set. And then, Jordan Akanji plays really, really hard, very good on the offensive glass and runs the floor well. Just has a motor that it's going to really help us there at the 5-man spot. So excited about all those new guys, and they're all, going to play good minutes and provide us with, just taking that next step.
To all those guys whose names I butchered this morning, I apologize, but I guarantee you I'll get them right, because I eventually got Jovan Slovanchinen. So if I could get that, I'll get any name. That was one of the toughest names I ever had to handle.
For sure.
Well, he's a great player over at Carroll College. You've got the guys in practice now. One of the toughest things when you bring a lot of transfers, basketball better than I do, but how is the team gelling? Because you've got a lot of outside guys, and now you're trying to bring them under one system, one culture. How is that going?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun, and it's challenging yet fun. We've got a lot of new guys, new pieces. We've tried to do a lot of team bonding type stuff. We went on a retreat for 2 days and a night a couple weeks ago before our first official practice, and we're trying to go out to eat together every couple of weeks, just to help them get to know each other better and build that trust, build that chemistry, build that camaraderie. It's been choppy. We're putting in a lot of new stuff and working on the defensive side of things here these first couple of weeks. We're actually going to start kind of putting in some offensive stuff today, but it's going to take some time. We're believe it or not, 17 days away from our first game, but the guys are working hard and playing together, and they're really working on doing the things that we're emphasizing. So, as a coach, that's all you can ask for. Just don't give up on plays, play as hard as you can, and be together and do what the coaches demand of you.
Steve, you mentioned basketball right around the corner. It's only a month away until I get on an airplane again, come back out to Indiana. And before I talk about that, I want to tell everybody, and you and anybody listening, that the hospitality that I received at Bethel was unbelievable. I appreciate that, what you and your staff, and I really enjoyed my time there. I really appreciated the hospitality. Thank you very much for that.
Absolutely. We're grateful for you coming. I still wear my Cascade Hoops hat from time to time that you gave me, so I appreciate that.
You're a good man. So I'll be back out in a month, and we're going to have the Crossroads Cascade Classic, which you guys are going to be part of. Thank you for doing that. We're going to go down to Grace College. 2 teams from the Cascade Conference, of course, Oregon Tech and Bushnell University. 2 teams from the Crossroads League, Bethel and Grace. Preseason matchup, it's historic. These 2 conferences have never met before in the preseason. Just talk about number one, the competitiveness of it, and then the historic value of it.
Oh, for sure. It's really exciting to play in this type of classic, against two really good teams in the Cascade Conference. And, just the histories of it all, as I've learned of these, great historic NAIA schools and, tournament runs that they made, national titles. I think it's 6 or 7 national titles amongst the 4 teams. It's pretty neat. So we're excited. It's going to be 7. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We're excited to, as a coaching staff, we're trying to prepare ourselves for our tough Crossroads League schedule. So playing 2 really good teams and Bushnell and Oregon Tech is only going to help prepare us for that. So we're excited about the challenge and looking forward to getting over there to Grace, where we're a little familiar. And looking forward to playing 2 really good teams.
Steve, can you talk a little bit about the NAI? Of course, with the COVID, basketball talent is the highest it's ever been at all levels. But the talent level in the NAI and the quality of the basketball, I believe, is just skyrocketed. Can you talk about how tough it's going to be in the Crossroads and in the NAI this season? It's just really tough to get to the playoffs and make it, isn't it?
There's no doubt. I think for me, as I've been in this league in NAI for 3 years, I think one thing I've learned is just the offensive skill level is so good. Coming from I was at Lipscomb University 6 years prior to this, played at the Division I level, and there's not a much difference, if at all, from an offensive skill. And the offensive skill might be better, and it probably is at this level, than your mid-major, low-major level, Division I. And just a big part of that is just, a lot of these athletes aren't as athletic as, or as big, fast, or strong as the Division I level. So we've got to be, and I put myself into this category being a pretty unathletic 6-foot guy. I had to be really good from an offensive standpoint. And so these guys have really put in the work from an offensive skill set. We got guys that can really shoot at this level. I mean, our league, if you can't guard the 3, you're you're going to be in trouble. So offensive skill set's really good. Guys have really put in the work, overcome, maybe lack of whatever they might have from a physical standpoint. So it's fun to coach.
You mentioned that 3-point line. They keep moving it back, and then the percentage will drop just a little bit, and then the next thing you know, everybody's shooting 40% again.
Sure.
And then they'll move it back, same thing, go down to 35, 36, and then everybody's shooting over 40% again. I mean, the athleticism, I'm an old guy, right? But the athleticism just grows in leaps and bounds, it seems to me. I've heard it opined before that at the lower level, like at the NAI level, the skill level is actually higher, because usually these are more underachieving guys who are really trying to push it to the next level, that their skills will become better than somebody who's way more athletic, but they don't have the athleticism or the size to get to that D1 level. Does that theory hold any water?
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of comparing a little bit to myself, who wasn't the most athletic player. I had to do other things really well. So individual workouts were really important for me, and getting extra shots up. I think guys at this level do that. Guys at this level really focus on the mental part of the game, being mentally tough, cutting down on mistakes, playing really smart. I think the coaching at this level mirrors that. The coaches at this level do such a good job of being prepared, being organized, having a system that fits the guys that they recruit. So you got to do everything well. If you're missing, I tell people, you've got to have culture, you've got to have talent, you've got to have health, you've got to have coaching. You have to have it all if you're going to win at this level.
Agree.
Especially in our conference.
Steve, I really appreciate you being on the show. I can't wait to get back out to Indiana and watch some hoop back there and see you again. Thank you very much for being on the show.
My pleasure, Billy. Always great talking with you.
That's Steve Drabyn. He's the head men's basketball coach at Bethel University. Thank you, Steve.
My pleasure. Thanks, Billy.
Hey, thank you very much to Steve Drabyn, as well as the Bethel Pilot Program. If you're up there in that northern Indiana area, and you're anywhere near Bethel, get some tickets, get your season tickets. It's going to be great basketball this season. Also, please like and subscribe this podcast. I'd appreciate it very much. But most importantly, get out and support the NAI athletes in your area, the coaches, the programs, and fill those seats. And it won't break you. You won't have to go without your taco after, because NAI basketball is the best entertainment value in America.